How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for this video, you find me sitting in the 2020 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. And if you're looking for an off-road capable SUV that can fit the whole family and the grandparents comfortably, look no further. This is it. This is unique compared to everything else that you can buy today. It's one of the few body-on-frame construction SUVs. The third row is actually comfortable. There's an immense amount of space in here. The payload rating is at 1,400 pounds and towing capacity is very good at 7,400 pounds. And given that this is in TRD Pro trim, you find a lot of off-road goodies that you don't normally find in other large SUVs like this. All of those features makes the Sequoia one of the truly unique vehicles that could do it all. But just because you're unique doesn't mean that you're any good. I've been driving this Toyota Sequoia for the past week, and I want to share with you my personal likes and dislikes so that you have a better idea before you decide to go out and buy one. The one I'm sitting in is the TRD Pro trim, and it starts at just over $64,000. As equipped and delivered, this vehicle's MSRP is at $66,000. And with the TRD Pro trim, you get lots of upgraded parts and special pieces that sets this apart from other plain big SUVs. The first one is the TRD tuned suspension with Fox shocks for the fronts and rears. The fronts have a 2.5-inch diameter shock while the rears are 2 inches. All around, the shocks have a piggyback reservoir, so that means that it'll give you different compression and rebound characteristics depending on the road conditions. If you're just driving on a normal road with no bumps, it'll act like a normal shock, but when you're off-roading and you hit those big bumps, these reservoirs allow the shock to be more firm than normal. The spring rates on these shocks are softer than traditional Sequoias. Now that's neither good or bad because spring stiffness is just part of suspension tuning. I will say that the ride is very soft and comfortable. In addition to the shocks, there's some more components that give this TRD Pro some more off-road cred, like the skid plates up front, some heavy-duty forged BBS wheels, and also some Rigid Industries LED fog lights. You can also tell this is a TRD Pro because of the special black roof rails, the running boards, and the word Toyota spelled out on the grille. And finally, there's a special paint that's available for the TRD Pros. There's only 4 color choices, but the special paint for 2020 is Army Green. And if you want to see how good the Army Green color looks, check out my video review of the 4Runner TRD Pro. So all of those special little parts make the Sequoia look much more interesting than other boring large SUVs. But that's really hiding the fact that this vehicle hasn't changed much from when it was revealed first in 2008. And you could tell how dated this SUV really is once you step inside. First of all, this is one of the largest SUVs you can buy today. The front row has a full-size pickup truck dimensions. It has a massive armrest, big enough for this to be a rolling office for you contractors and builders out there. If you have a laptop, you can easily work in here and store it in these big storage spots. In fact, there's a ton of storage locations here. There's a secondary glove box, slots for your sunglasses on the doors, and there are some massive cup holders. And if you don't like these here, you could always rearrange it. In fact, there's a spot in the armrest for you to store all of these extra little trim pieces. If you don't like the cup holder here, you could always lift it up, place it somewhere else, and then therefore, well, you get the idea. But aside from the size and space, which is typical of SUVs of this size, there's really nothing attractive about the design of the Toyota Sequoia. It's very stale because it hasn't drastically changed for more than a decade. The infotainment system is decent. This comes with the Toyota's Entune system, which has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available, but it's displayed on a relatively small screen, and when you're sitting on the driver's side, this screen is actually kind of far away. It may not be a problem for very tall people, but average height, maybe short people like myself, I'm 5'8", this is a bit far to reach. The dials also haven't changed. This is the same dials that you'll find in the Toyota Tundra, and it gives off that big truck feel. Moving to the second row, this being ones with captain's chairs, it's also very generous with space. I like the center console here with all of the temperature controls. There's also a big gap between the chairs, which allows easy access to the third row. On other trims, you have an armrest and storage locations, but not here on the TRD Pro. Getting into the third row from the outside is also quite easy. Once you're back here, you can actually sit with some good level of comfort, unlike most smaller 3-row SUVs. When you're test driving this thing, climb in the back and see for yourself. There's decent leg room back here. The problem with smaller 3-row SUVs is that the floor for where the third row is can be very high because of all of the drivetrain and chassis components underneath. Given that the Sequoia is very wide, there's actually decent leg room back there, and it's very tolerable for long road trips. You can still be of average height and fit comfortably. There's even plenty of cup holders, 4 of them for 3 seats, but unfortunately there are no USB ports back here. And in fact, there's only 3 USB ports in here and a couple of 12-volt outlets, which kind of shows you that this vehicle was designed when smartphones weren't as prevalent. When you don't have to use the third row, folding it down is easy with a set of buttons on the second row and also in the hatch area. In terms of cargo space, the Sequoia is king. You can get up to 120 cubic feet of space with all the seats folded down. If you measure the width from side to side, you'll find that you could fit a 4x8 sheet of plywood in here. Now, you may have to keep the back hatch open and secure it with straps, but it's good to know that your family vehicle can also make those big hauls from Home Depot or Lowe's. So this Sequoia is great for transporting lots of people and or lots of stuff. Now remember, you have that awesome looking roof rack up there as well. So this is a true SUV in every sense of the name. Now, how does it drive? Well, it drives decent. It has those truck-like behaviors like numb steering, and the high center of gravity makes you feel like you're floating from one corner to the next. But I like the independent rear suspension setup, making this feel much more comfortable compared to the Toyota Tundra, which has a live axle setup. I also like the high seating position in here because it gives you very good visibility of everything around you. I certainly feel very safe driving in this Toyota Sequoia because it also comes with all those Toyota Safety Sense features like adaptive cruise control, automatic high beams, lane departure warning, pre-collision detection system, and this also comes standard with blind spot monitoring system and rear cross traffic alert. Those are very nice safety systems that doesn't come standard in a lot of vehicles. There's also proximity sensors in the front so that when you're close to something, when you're in a parking situation, it'll beep to warn you that you're about to hit something. Power-wise, it's got a 5.7 liter V8 that makes 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque. That big engine is necessary to move this nearly 3-ton vehicle. As expected, the mileage is awful, and it's pure physics. When you have something this heavy, you need a lot of energy to move it around. The Sequoia is rated at 13 city and 17 highway. And in the week that I've had it, all of the mixed driving that I've done, I've netted about 14 miles to the gallon. So it's not great, and it doesn't help with the fact that there's a dated 6-speed automatic transmission in here and a fairly old engine that only uses port fuel injection. Now, other newer Toyota engines have what they call D4S. Now that combines both direct injection and port fuel injection, and it gives better power and better efficiency. But despite the poor mileage, there's some comfort in riding behind something that is old and has been truly battle tested for over a decade. The reliability of the Toyota Sequoia is very good. Just keep up with the maintenance and maybe change the timing belt every 100,000 miles, and this SUV should last you a very long time. So do I recommend the Sequoia? Well, that depends, because I see this more of a second car. This is very thirsty, so it's awful for daily driving. As far as off-road capability, this is going to be very good because of the body-on frame, the huge ground clearance, and also the center lock differential. Personally, I would be afraid to take this on certain off-road trails because the size will really limit the kind of trails that you could go on. I would be very afraid of scratching and denting up this car, considering that this is $66,000. There are better off-road cars to take on those trails. So it's not a great daily driver, but if you see the Sequoia as a tool, one that could help you tackle those weekend projects, one that could transport your family on a camping trip somewhere, and something that's capable of towing boats or a sports car on a trailer, then the Toyota Sequoia is fantastic. So there you have it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you learned something in this video, please consider hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe, and also hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a new video. I'll wrap it up right there. This has been the 2020 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. My name is Hanson. I'll see you next time.